Welcome back to your weekly dose of the Pulse. I'm your boy Rashawn Corbin, also known as the Piano Man, and you see I got my crew back here with me. We'll take our time and let them introduce themselves. Go ahead, bro.
What's up, everybody? Dre's back with us.
Hey everybody, it's your girl, Boss Lady. How you doing?
Hey everybody, it's Armani the activist.
Listen, man, we're about to mix it up. You know how we do here at the Pulse. We talk about real issues with real people because it's real necessary. So make sure you check us out each and every week. But goodness gracious, y'all. First of all, I'm excited to be sitting here with these awesome people. Shout out to our production team, New Kingdom TV. Check them out, everything else that's going on. But let's get into this conversation. As you know, we like to check some vitals. Shout out to your boy, the Bishop, by the way, in his absence. We miss you, bro. We miss you. We love you. But let's check the vitals, y'all. It's happening again. We're just going to be real tonight. This thing of police brutality. Again, we see it out in Philadelphia. Walter Wallace Jr., who had bipolar depression. It's known at the time of the incident he was on his medicine, lithium, which caused him, in conjunction with his other issues, to run in traffic waving his knife because of his mental issues and different things. His family calls 911 to request help, right? 2 police officers show up. They tell him put the knife down, fire 7 rounds, and now we're sitting here at this position, right? But to make it even more, I guess, gut-wrenching, right? The attorney, Shaka Johnson, releases a statement talking about the families now deciding that they don't want to see criminal charges. So my question, I just want to throw it out there. Talk to me, and I want to come to you, Armani. How are you feeling right now? How are you feeling?
Well, obviously it's a hurtful thing to see another black man shot down again, but I just think we need to really talk about mental illness and policing, because that is something that a lot of times the police department does not address enough. I believe the ACLU has tried to bring that to their attention, but mental illness in the black community has become such a stigma where we don't want to talk about it, and nobody wants to address the issue. So when one of our loved ones has become victim of it and situations like this happen, this already too late. So I feel like right now we really have to come together and talk about mental illness and policing, and how even with police brutality is like basically the equivalent of slave catching, and how the police department has roots. It was rooted in the origin of white supremacy, and it started as slave patrols.
Absolutely.
So obviously when it came down to with the slaves trying to set themselves free, they were trying to catch the slaves. So when you think about it, right now, the equivalent is police brutality. They're trying to catch us. They're trying to make sure that we don't get the chance to live a full life. They're killing off the black man, and they're leaving the black woman to raise the 3 boys. His 3 sons have no father right now. So we have to look at the origin of the police brutality and how it has connected and basically ruined the black community.
Samir, talk to me.
So, of course, I used to work in in mental health for the last decade or so, and that's what I went to college for. And it hurts me because the way that the system is not funded that's the number one issue. They're not funding the people that are working. They're not funding the people who are coming out of education. And a lot of people I graduated with, we don't work in mental health anymore because we need money. So how many people are giving up something that they might have been really good at? Who knows? But when she was talking about sending the police out, I was thinking about one time where we had to send someone to a client's home. Crisis intervention doesn't answer that stuff anymore. They're supposed to, and people think immediately, let's call crisis intervention. Crisis intervention's like, call the police. because the funding of those situations have become so hard to reach. It's not in the budget. That crisis intervention was like, I don't have time to be volunteering my time to go out here and get this person who said they're going to kill somebody or someone else. Send the police, and the police is not educated in how to deal with someone with mental illness. They're not educated in how to de-escalate a situation. All they know how to do is shoot somebody, and now it's over. And that's really what they're showing us, because when do they ever de-escalate a situation other than shoot it? Two people didn't need to shoot him. That's my thing. Two people did not need to shoot him. And for them to just put off this, and his mother was trying to help, and they called for help. That's why they were even there. It's just, I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it.
Yeah. Talk to me, bro. How you feeling, man?
All right. I was thinking while you guys were talking, and I'm going to set it up with a little funny story, but it'll lead up. Follow me for a second. So let's imagine we all have wings, right? And we have been flying all of our lives. Our lives are set up around the idea of us having wings and flying. Buildings in the sky, you know, you don't have to drive because you can fly everywhere. We all have wings, and it's all fine and dandy, right? Now, it's not an issue to have buildings in the sky, like I said, and not have to drive cars on the street because we all have wings, unless you're somebody who does not have wings. Right. Now it becomes difficult for you to live life with buildings in the sky, and you don't have to drive when you do not have the wings. Right. So how we can connect this to our situation we're talking about here, it's not ever an issue that we don't address mental illness until we have somebody with mental illness, and now it's something we have to address and we have to fix. It's not an issue that buildings don't have stairs unless you have somebody in a wheelchair. Now we need a ramp. So it's not. It's that we need training for these people to know how to deal with mental illness. The issue is not people with mental illness, because the police are trained, or should be trained, I should say, to serve the people. So they should know the people that they are serving. Right, people who have mental illness, we should be trained to serve those people.
So, and it's interesting, all three of you echo literally the same sentiments. Why do you think in our community then, when you're dealing with this mental illness issue, like you said, everybody, you know what I'm saying, wants the buildings in the sky. I love that. I'm going to steal that. Everybody loves the buildings, but everybody doesn't have the wings. And we don't necessarily address the issue until we realize people can't, you know what I'm saying, fly. Why is it so taboo in our community about this mental health thing? Talk to me.
I feel like because, and not to bash religion, because I'm of course religious, and I don't like to say religious, but we kind of in our mind, oh well, this can be fixed by praying. This can be fixed by throwing some oil on him. This can be fixed by just speaking tongues. We're going to talk over him. And it doesn't matter how many times they've done it. Every Sunday, they still try to do it again. And then we have, parents who just beat the kid because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. Or we just going to punish the child because they didn't, never really addressing the actual issue. If someone is not ever learning from a situation, then we need to figure out why. There's obviously something not connecting. Nobody is going to continually do something and continually be hurt by it. And then, it's just a lot. The parenting in our community, the community in itself, we are not open to the fact that mental illness is possible. Depression, get over it. Anxiety, that's just you. Bipolar disorder, they just got an attitude. There's so much. It's lack of knowledge. It's extreme lack of knowledge, and people that are closed-minded to just we're not going to learn about it and we don't care about it.
Can we also discuss the lack of resources in helping Black
Of course.
mental illness?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Of course.
Lack of funding to give us the resources, and nobody wants to give us the funding for it. I've worked with the Health Equity Subcommittee, and I think that's something that I believe we should start to implement as well. And I hope they're watching this to see what the issues that we're addressing, because I feel like with the organizations that we have in our communities, we can come together to bring the resources to the community. I feel like with what's going on right now, we really need to come together with the level of anxiety dealing with the elections, police brutality with what's happened over the summer. Everybody needs somebody to talk to. I just went into therapy recently, so it's we really need the resources. So
yeah, I definitely feel like Dre is beyond correct in saying that there's a lack of resources. When I was working as a rehab coordinator, you know, they give those people $718 a month, and they feel like that's good enough, you know. But we basically sitting them in a room just like this and telling them to talk to each other. What's that doing? Then we're like, oh, you want a job? They're not being honest with them. You're never going to be able to work this job. They just sent me out there to get them the job so that they could get fired in 2 days. You're completely correct. The resources are not up to
Existing.
par.
So, but we already know the answer though as to why the resources aren't there. Because the truth of the matter is, it's not that the resources aren't there. The resources aren't available, and everybody doesn't have the access
Yes.
to those resources.
Yeah.
Now we get into that whole everybody wants the stairs, but everybody, you know what I'm saying, doesn't have that access. So my question is, so let's say, you know, somebody catches this show, right? And they call us, they say, hey, Pulse, we hear you guys, we understand and we acknowledge that there's no resources. What is the plan? You see what I'm saying? Because we understand, as you alluded to, Armani, the police, this entire system where we're discussing people don't have resources, this is tied to that whole systemic, you know what I'm saying, institutional racism thing. So, Pulse, my question to you guys, right, where do we go from here? What is the plan to move forward? How can we, you know, get people more comfortable with talking about mental health in our community? How can we get people, you know what I'm saying, more comfortable with actually advocating for resources to be poured into those places? Talk to me, bro.
I think, like I was saying before, it does start with having access to those resources. I feel like if more people were able to get therapists, and I let's say, for example, I have a therapist, and I can talk to my friend and say, hey, you know, I understand you're going through whatever, but I have a therapist who's right down the street who's not going to charge you $600 a session. Do you know what I mean? So we have to be able to have access to those things so that other people can get the help that they need. And I feel as we recognize more and more people are dealing with similar issues that we all need help with, I feel like that will sort of erase the taboo that's around mental illness in the Black community, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
So what they do have access to sometimes is access to a therapist that doesn't look like them.
Yes.
And I know from when I was working in, and not just that the person didn't look like them, they had 70 people to deal with in a couple days.
Yeah.
That's not fair, you know. So, you know, I've looked at the Facebook groups for Black business and DMV social, and they're like, can someone point me in the direction of a Black therapist? Can somebody point me in the direction of a Black psychiatrist? So, you know, the access is definitely needed, and also access to something familiar.
Yes.
So I definitely feel like that's why I went, like, if we make sure that people were getting paid, or make sure that, you know, when I went to school, if you were in business, you went to school for free. If you played basketball or football, you went to school for free. But I was a psych major and I paid cash. So you see what I'm saying? Like, it starts there too, and then, but definitely making sure that we're familiarized. I don't want to talk to somebody that I can't connect to, and neither does anyone else.
I was going to say that in order to really, I feel like we have to at least abolish the police department. I'm an abolitionist, so to me, I want to take the police department and turn it into a place where we can go and get our mental health programs implemented. Like, to me, having over policing in the Black community is only making things worse, giving people having a high level of anxiety because you see a police officer coming around your neighborhood yes, exactly. That's not helping. That's not helping at all. And it's giving us anxiety, and we already don't have the resources already, so why don't we take the police department and turn it into a mental health center? Because that's what we need right now. We don't need more policing. We need the resources to help us out.
And the budget for police officers is like billions.
Exactly.
Billions of dollars.
They need to be defunded, defund the police. That's why we asked for that this year.
Listen, I told y'all it was going to be hot. Listen, I need you to stay right where you are. Don't scroll nowhere. Stay locked with us. We'll be coming right back in a few moments. Welcome back, welcome back. I hope you know what I'm saying, relieved yourself, because I'm going to tell you what, we about to inject you with some more great stuff. Listen, thank you so much for tuning in with us again on The Pulse on this beautiful Monday night. But as we all have been waiting for, the moment has finally arrived. Tomorrow morning, millions of people around our country who haven't already, cast their ballots will be able to go and personally cast their ballots for the next president of the United States of America, man. Can you guys believe that it's been 4 years already, man? That's insane with
Felt like
everything.
forever.
Oh my
Well,
goodness,
especially
what?
this election
Good Lord.
season, not
Yeah.
even the whole 4 years. This
Yeah.
election season has felt like forever.
Man,
Yes.
man.
Yes, I'm over it.
Listen, and
I think everybody's over it.
and exactly,
I'm
and
tired.
we talked about that in the last segment. That whole mental health thing. With everything that we see going on now, from COVID-19 to a president that we necessarily can't trust, to you know what I'm saying, everything under the sun. Talk to me, y'all. Why do you think right now so many people, it seems to be on edge? I mean, we got people in our communities endorsing Donald Trump, Lil Wayne, 50 Cent. I mean, people,
Kanye West is out
Kanye
here.
West. I mean, why y'all think so many people are on edge this time? Armani, talk to me. What's going on? Oh, you want to start? My bad.
No, it's
Somebody
cool.
pick
Money
it
can
up.
start.
Oh,
Pick it up.
Go ahead.
I think it's a lot right now because we all want to see this outcome of, like, we have an agenda that everybody wants to see come out of this, but it's not going to happen overnight, y'all. I hate to break it to you. Voting is not going to be the end all be all. I hate to say it.
yeah.
Voting is good, but we just have these high expectations that if Joe Biden wins, he's going to do this,
You
and
better
this.
say it. Speak on
It's
that.
not, I hate to say it, and I think that, we just have to put ourselves together and find out what ways we can try to do stuff in our own communities to make sure that we're good, because depending on just voting is not really the best way to go. And I think voting is good, but we shouldn't solely depend on voting. We have to depend on each other and pile our resources together to create our own,
Talk to me.
No, I agree with Armani. I feel like it's just a lot going on right now. And
Yeah.
for a lot, especially young people like me, I'm only 20 years old. A lot of people, this is their first year voting. We're in the middle of a pandemic, something we've never seen before in our lives. And I just think it's a lot of stress on not only the black community, but on people in general, like especially young people.
Right.
There's a lot of corruption going on in the election, a lot of back and forth, don't know who
Yeah,
to trust, who to listen to.
It's just I am anxious myself.
Yeah.
I just feel like I don't want
Who wouldn't be?
to be in the wrong, but there's really, after I do what I do and I vote, then I just have to trust in God from that point. But I know, like Armani was saying, this is not the end. We haven't reached the climax. In a story, it goes like this. Then there's the climax, and then it goes down. We haven't reached that yet. It feels like it. It feels real tough. It's on our neck, but there's more to come, and then it will get better. So, like she's saying, we got a long road. And we have to do our due diligence. I went and studied every single person on the ballot for my county, for my district. You need to do that too. So you can't just put all of your eggs in a basket with the president, because
of course not.
there's the Senate. And there's the House, and then there's your county, and then
the
there's
aldermen.
you got to do
Exactly,
all of
exactly,
that,
exactly.
because all of that adds up together. And people don't pay attention to what's going on in the background because we're so busy paying attention to McCheeto. So you really
No,
need
I
to
mean,
pay
for real.
attention to everything.
Really.
Everything.
I was gonna mention really quick. I agree with what Samia is saying in that I don't think that the general public pays enough attention to all the things that go on, and I would say tagging along that, I think a lot of the general public is not aware enough of their government to do their own research and know who they're voting for based on their own preference anyways. They're very much following a wave of people who they believe in and who they, trust to do the right things, and if they'll vouch for that person, then that's who I'm going to vote for, especially for the presidency. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of, issue as far as people like Lil Wayne and 50 Cent coming out and saying they're vouching for Trump, because a lot of the general public does not have their own opinion on politics and policy and whatnot. They're following, what they see other people saying. And if these quote unquote, and I'm not saying that 50 Cent and Lil Wayne speak for the entire black community, but we can't deny that some people do look up to them and do see them as, quote unquote pillars of the black community. And if they are taking and vouching for Trump and, saying that they agree with his policies and agreeing that he can make change. And I think it is creating such a rift that, everybody we're saying, the black community, we're going to bind together and vote for Kamala Harris and Biden, and that's what we're going to do. And then all of a sudden we're seeing these quote unquote pillars saying that they're going to vote for Trump. It does create kind of like a dissonance, I think would be the word.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because when she was by herself, the black community was denying her.
That's worth a conversation.
They were really denying her.
She was denying Joe Biden. She was coming for his life, and
Saying
now
that
she
he
is
wasn't for the black
running
community.
the running mate.
Right.
So-
So the black community is so separated and divided and confused and all over the place. And I think that if I was on the Trump administration, I would have definitely did what he's doing right now because they're like, they didn't like her last week. They didn't like her.
Listen. Isn't that crazy, the stuff that we just heard? Listen, in spite of this craziness, though, in spite of what we're seeing, surprisingly, the numbers have gone up with the amount of people that are registering to vote.
Amen.
Yes.
As
That's
well
great, though.
as of to date, there have been about 9 million ballots already casted.
That's right. Keep doing it.
Already casted. So people are really ready right now to see, you know what I'm saying, make their voice heard. They're ready to see change. But when you got people in our community, you know what I'm saying, I guess jumping ship or, turning on us, my next question would be like, what do we really expect to see? What are we expecting as a people with the fact of us not being able to come together? What do we see? What do you expect to see?
Well, this is going to be a bit off topic, but I think it'll trail
Yeah,
along quite
yeah.
nicely. I think, in general, the idea of quote-unquote celebrity culture is starting to fall, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
The idea of like, okay, so let's say, for example, I use this example all the time, so anybody who's watching knows me probably heard this story before. But I think like back in like, let's say the 90s, for example, we had like Beyonce and like Lady Gaga, and they were like these celebrities, and they were so elusive, and like the Michael Jacksons, we didn't know anything about them unless they were in like the press and the media, right? But nowadays we have regular everybody's who are becoming celebrities, and they have, we feel so personally connected to them, like Cardi B and Ariana Grande. We can just go on Instagram and Twitter, and we can feel what they're feeling, see what they're feeling, whatever the case may be. So I feel like a lot of the quote-unquote celebrity prestige is starting to be lost in the community, if that makes any sense. We
Losing
don't see them as,
credibility,
we see them as normal, regular, everyday. It's like, that's my friend. They're talk to me on the internet. They're not, you know what I mean? So I think as far as looking to them for that guidance, that's starting to be lost. We're starting to formulate our own opinions and our own group mentality, group power, if that makes any sense.
No,
I
it
think
does,
that's
it
a
does.
great thing. I think that's an amazing
Yes.
thing. Because I used to really be like, these beehive people are driving me crazy. But yeah, so I think that's a good thing because we need to formulate our own
Our own
opinions.
opinions,
We
yes.
need to formulate our own thoughts. And we need not someone else to tell us how to do it. I mean, even in small group settings, I've talked to people at my job all the time, and they're different religion than I. And everything that they say is according to what that church says. Oh, this is how we have to do it. Even in that setting, we have to study everything on our own and find our own opinion. And what I will say about millennials is that they want to know something, then they do go out to figure it out. We can say whatever we want about them, but when they want to know something, they want to be the best at whatever they want to know.
Oh, most definitely.
So this is a great time to, encourage them. If you're going to be the best at something, be the best at knowing everything that you need to know.
Yes.
Like, not just this little part, but all of it. Like, everything that you need to know that's going to benefit you. And that's what I would hope we could have instilled in them this year, because we were at home and we weren't out. We were in the house, quarantined. This is a good time for you to really take a good look around you and see how the world is working and how it's working against you and how it's working for you and how you can change it by reaching out to the other people that you know.
Yeah.
Like, you have to reach out to the people around you. Like, we don't like this, so what are we going to do about it?
I like that a lot.
So that's what I got from 2020. People complain about 2020. I said, this is the best year of my life. They looking at me like,
2020 vision.
Because-
That's what they talked about.
and
in the
I was
beginning of the
supposed to dress up like that for Halloween, but I didn't do it. So, but I really had it in my mind as soon as it was 20. It was a 2020 hindsight, but yeah, I really feel like this was a great year for us to reflect on what we can and cannot do, and what is burying us, and what limitations that we have, and how can we break them. And that's why I love listening to Almighty, because she's like, let's break it down. Let's break it down.
This for me, it's been a season for me of like growing and learning and listening. For me,
Yes.
like, because right now with the election, I've learned so much. This is only my second time voting, and I actually took the time out and looked on the voter's guide about the amendments. My mom and I, we sat down at the table, and she said, "This is what this amendment is about, and this is what this is about." I was like, I was really like doing my research, and I found out some things, and it's, to me, I think every young person should do that because, you know, the voter's guide is accessible. You can go online. I think it's Vote 111, I believe. You can go on those websites. There's a lot of resources accessible. We just have to go to them. Because I think, you know, when you mention about the celebrities failing us, it's because everybody's depending on them and their opinions. And we depend too much, we pay too much attention to the influencers, the
Yes,
celebrities. What does this person have to say? What does that person have to say? Instead of formulating our own opinions and doing our own research, which is why I like to read. I like to read my own books and watch documentaries and watch docuseries to educate myself. And that's what we have to go back to, educating ourselves so that we won't get, you know, we won't go lost. We won't be led astray by people who we trusted, especially in the government or in the celebrities. We have to trust in God and in our own knowledge and reading books and stuff like that.
And
so
you know, it's great that you said that because it sounds as if what we all expected to see or expect to see is that everybody's minds is refreshed, right? We shouldn't be thinking the same old way, or you know what I'm saying, just going about life as necessary, or as normal rather. So my question, and y'all, anybody pick this thing up, with everything we see going on, like you said, no matter who's in the White House, right? No matter which way you vote, as long as you're voting, no matter which way you vote, my question is, how do we now ensure that our people no longer fall for the okie doke? How?
I don't know.
What do we do?
It's funny because I was having this conversation with myself earlier while I was doing, you know, some final research and notes for today. And I was thinking, and it hit me when I was thinking about the Lil Wayne situation and how a lot of people are frustrated with the idea of like the Democratic Party and how they're not working for us. So the new idea, I guess, would be to try to work with the Republican Party and see if that'll work. I think moving forward, an idea that we should have is that neither party is going to work for us and work with us because they were never designed to, if that makes any sense. When these systems were set up, there were no black people in the room.
Exactly.
I think I saw something on Twitter that made me laugh that said no black people were in the room except the man pouring tea, and I guarantee they didn't ask him his opinion, right?
They didn't.
So like these systems were never set up to help us, and moving forward they're never going to help us no matter how much we try. So I think a good idea moving forward would be pooling our resources as a black community to work together and figure out the issues that work for ourselves. Like I'm not totally opposed to the idea of an all-black party. That would go opposed to the Democratic and Republican Party. I don't see why we couldn't pool our resources and ideas together to make something like that move.
I was going to say, historically, grassroots organizing in the black community has been a success. You look back in the 70s with the Black Panther Party, you look back and you see the civil rights movement and how they pulled their resources together to create a big movement. And I think that's what we need to go back to, is working together. We need to start working together instead of working against each other. I think a lot of us, when we focus on just ourselves and we focus on, I got to get up on the top and don't worry about who else is going to be coming behind me, that basically hinders us from having our own community, having an affluent community. And I think we really need to focus on the grassroots organizing. And I feel like with that, it has to start with, you know, coming together, whether it's with the church, whether it's, you know, in school, or, you know, your local community is working together for a certain agenda and trying to get, you know, everybody together. So, yeah.
Right, and you know what Dre was talking about, like what we don't understand is when in our community and the people that grew up with us, what we're not understanding is those people that were in that room, the idea was the people who own property. And if you pay attention, they do everything to make sure we don't own property. So when I was talking earlier about the $718 that they give people who are on disability for mental illness, it's so that they never can afford to purchase their own home. It's so that I feel like they set us up in order to create a way for us to be comfortable with our insignificance. Or this is not a significant home, but I'm okay okay with that because I still got my $718. No, I need to go out here and make my money and forget about this $718 and purchase me a home. So that's why I tell people all the time, property. Like, I definitely do feel like the black community needs to step up and do a lot more for the black community, but we need to own more property so that we can speak on that. Like, that's really the people that are in control of everything. We don't even see them. We don't even know them. And they own property.
Absolutely.
So like, yeah, definitely. But we gotta stop falling for the traps that they set. They set traps so that we don't have anything, so we have less say. And I think that's trickling down to today.
Let me tell you something. It's mind blowing when you think about some of the things that we're falling for. You know, like I told my wife, how many people are gonna go buy Lil Wayne's next album?
A lot.
How many
A
people?
lot.
How many people are gonna go and you know support you know these people that are just continuously you know giving us all this nonsense? But here it is. Listen, when we're talking about the election, we're talking about voting, we're talking about our community doing things that needs to be done. In these last 15 seconds, I call it real talk. You can give me real talk to our community in 15 seconds. What do you tell them? What's your message about voting? Samia, talk to me. My bad. Thought you saw me. My bad.
Vote, vote, vote. That's all I'm gonna say. If you can, take the time, go get your specific ballot. Snapchat will find your ballot for you.
It will.
And if you don't want to go online, just click on Snapchat and find out who is running and what they're talking about. Know the questions so you don't just check yes or no. Just get some knowledge and vote.
Armani?
So when it comes to voting, I think we shouldn't only focus on the federal level. We need to start focusing on the local level, because if we don't, we're gonna just find ourselves being bamboozled. So I think we just need to obviously vote, but still have our grassroots organizing as well.
Dre?
I think I agree with Samia and Armani in this last part. Just voting is very, very important, but voting is not the end-all, be-all. You have to hold the leaders accountable, people that you're voting for. You have to hold them accountable, make sure they're following through with the policies and promises they made that got them into that office in the first place. So, yes.
Man, listen, tomorrow's a very, very special day. People have bled and died for us to have this opportunity. Let me tell you something. Don't let nobody take your voice by not casting your vote. Thank you so much for tuning in to another night of The Pulse. Shout out to our amazing Kingdom TV. Talk to me again. We're getting a message from our producer.
Like and share.
Oh, yeah, my bad. See, my hair's going bad, y'all. Please like and share this broadcast. I want you to send it to as many people as you possibly can and tell them, listen, tune in every single Monday night at 7:30. Check us out.
Subscribe.
We're The Pulse. Subscribe. Peace.